Well, welcome everyone, and excited to have you here at our second inaugural Sustainability Symposium series. My name is Kim Smith. We're going to be focusing today on arts and activism, and we have a wonderful, wonderful group of folks to share their inspirations and talents with you. So the Sustainable Development Goals, most of you are, I mean, maybe some of you are not familiar with these. These were accepted by the United Nations and all countries, including the United States, in 2015. These are 17 goals that include social issues to help, so people and prosperity issues along that second line, and planet. And some of the topics you're going to be hearing about will be addressing some of these issues. And Goal 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and 17, partnerships, are really key in helping us understand the mechanisms for how to achieve these. The second thing to keep in mind that we're excited about is the launch just this month, really, of the new ESD for 2030 decade. And so from 2020 to 2030, we're really identifying the power of education and the role that sustainability education in particular must play in terms of public awareness, training, and of course formal education too. But really all of us today, this important educational opportunity to learn about how we can have a sustainable future. So we're really grateful to have some incredible leaders joining us today who are making a big difference around the world. And Shelby Silver with Salt of Earth and Sea Studio, a former PCC student in fact, and Emily Miller with Emily Miller Fine Art. Both we're going to be sharing their stories about their work to protect our oceans and our land. And I'll turn the program over to them to share their story.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here. So I'm going to first start out by answering today's overall question. Why is art valuable in our changing world? Art is invaluable in our changing world because it can serve as the artist's projection of goodness, inspiration, and hope. Whether the focus is between humankind, the earth and humankind, or the earth and its many symbiotic relationships as a whole, when the intention behind the art being created is to somehow brighten the world we live in with the light of our messages, change for the better will happen. And change is vital to the healing of our earth. As a child, I knew I wanted to be an artist, so I began approaching my artistry through fiber art, painting, and poetry. And I drew upon the flawless beauty of nature for its inspiration, most specifically the sea and the forest. I grew up on a llama ranch here in the Pacific Northwest, very near the ocean. And this is where I fell in love with our earth and where I developed my stewardship values and deep desire to preserve and protect natural spaces. I'm sure many of you listening can relate when I share the relationship I'd formed with the earth as a child has profoundly influenced the work I do today and the areas I choose to spend my energy on. Which is why I am so honored to be speaking with you today about the importance of collaboration in art and activism. I strongly believe that as the earth took shape a very powerful message of hope was formed as fundamental energy within every part of life growing in, on, and of this earth. We witness it every day. Although we may not actively see it, it is there between everything. It is collaboration. The tides collaborate with the moon, our crops with the sun, soil and water, and we collaborate with the earth. We are born, we drink, we live, we perish. In this cycle of life, we will return to the earth from which we once ate of and have the ability of providing nutrients to once again. The reason I'm pointing out this dramatic collaboration is because it is so powerful and moving. And the work that I do in collaboration with reclaimed marine rope and plastic marine debris serves as a direct reflection of the pain and joy that can be experienced within the cycles of life. Regardless of how we feel about it, the plastic in our oceans are now a very real part of life's cycles. And we are being presented with an opportunity to grow and stretch ourselves in search of creative solutions beyond the limitations of what we once knew. My basket sculptures in the undersea garden are a collaborative between myself, the reclaimed marine rope, and the metamorphosis that comes along with the creative unfolding. I have been actively utilizing plastic marine debris in my work for a little over 5 years. And though there are many mediums I work in, I have found I learn the most from my basket sculptures. And these were created in February 2018 of GhostNet. And they have since become illumined by unified strength within my collaborative relationship with Emily Miller. The work that we do would not hold the impact that it does if it weren't for our unified collaboration with fisher people who collaborate with the sea to provide nourishment to the bellies of people worldwide. All in all, these examples of collaboration express the magnitude and change that can occur when we have greater compassion and understanding for the human condition, the role we play in the cycles of life, and when we link arms with one another for the greater good. Because remembering our connection is remembering our responsibility to earth, sea, and all living beings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelby. Hi, I'm Emily Miller, and I've been honored to collaborate with Shelby in creating artwork with plastic marine debris. For both of us, the process begins with collecting the materials, and that's no small task. We both collect ghost net, which is fishing gear lost at sea, when we find it washed up on the beaches, and then it has to be cleaned and untangled. I've also partnered with beach cleanup crews and commercial fisheries here in Oregon and Washington, and from my previous home in Hawaii. These partnerships allow us to access the huge quantities of materials that truly make my practice possible. So my work as an artist began to focus on ghost net in the winter beginning 2018, when I went back home to Kauai and saw how much ghost net is being collected there by Surfrider Kauai, washed up from across the ocean. It was such a striking experience for me to climb around on the literal tons of ghost net in Surfrider's storage yard, and to realize that I lived on Kauai for half my life and never really understood the scale of the issue right where I lived. I knew that I wanted to share that physical experience of being in the landscape of ghost net and being able to use it for positive transformation into the artwork that I make. Surfrider Kauai is now shipping me boxes of ghost net from the 10,000 pounds that they're collecting each month on Kauai. Park rangers at Oregon State Parks also save their ghost net for us, where it used to end up in the dumpster. And at Westport Marina on the Washington coast, Shelby and I visited together to fill a van with several thousand pounds of responsibly recycled gear donated by commercial fisheries. Working with both environmental and industry groups is an important part of the work that I do. Both sources tell a part of the story, and it's important to understand these different stories when we envision how to move forward. Shelby and I share our materials as we've seen together the endless abundance of what there is available, and we both trust in receiving whatever material will come to us next. That is a very important idea in my work, that our perception of abundance can inspire generosity. And that idea has become my focus when I think about how my work can have a positive impact and why art is so important right now. In my work, I'm creating an environment of abundance and a framework for generosity and collaboration that leads us to an openness for new solutions. Art is so important as a non-threatening platform for practicing these shifts in thinking. My work replaces judgment with the excitement of exploration. Humans have a deep need to feel that freedom to explore. It is so important in healing environmental and social issues to create and play and be generous with ourselves and each other. There's a danger of feeling weighed down when dealing with wicked problems like ocean plastic pollution. By centering my work on joyful exploration and play, I'm shifting that focus to the positive transformation that inspires the new solutions we need to lead us forward in collaboration with ourselves, our communities, and our environment. Next, we'll be sharing a video that Shelby and I put together to unveil our collaborative installation, Undersea Garden. In the video, we speak more about the values that drive our work and why this collaboration is so important to our work as artists.
Hello, my name is Shelby Silver. I am an ecological artist, a love and mindfulness advocate, and a steward of the earth. I can speak on behalf of my dear friend Emily Miller and myself when I share with you that our work is centralized around marine conservation through the removal of plastic marine debris. Oftentimes, Emily and I get asked individually if we will be speaking about trash in the ocean, or if we will be speaking about garbage. We have been so transfixed globally on the problem. We know that the ocean is full of plastic marine debris. That is a problem. But the work that I am doing through my practice of ecological rehabilitation through the artistic process is focusing on utilizing plastic marine debris as a resource, not as refuse. And it's really a wonderful material because it's non-geographically biased, which means that it's everywhere. So looking at plastic marine debris from a standpoint of ecological rehabilitation, we are really unpacking this concept that it can be utilized for greater good. It is a part of how I am shifting the narrative around how we look at our ocean. We have been so transfixed globally on looking at this massive problem through the lens of fear. And I believe that if we can shift and look through the eyes of love, we can then begin to discover how we can utilize this non-geographically biased resource, not refuse, but resource in the work that it is that we're doing and educating with.
My name is Emily Miller. I'm an artist whose lifelong work has always been inspired by the ocean and our human relationship with our environment. I started the project I'm currently working on, which is called GhostNet Landscape, in 2015. GhostNet Landscape is a community-inspired, collaborative, interactive installation where I bring in about 1,000 pounds of rope and net or more. It's ghost net that's washed up and also responsibly recycled fishing gear from commercial fisheries that are determined to not let it become ghost net. The experience of GhostNet Landscape is for everybody who enters the installation to choose what they are going to make with their own skills and knowledge.
Shelby and I met during my first exhibit of GhostNet Landscape in 2019. We spent time together during the exhibit creating our different styles of baskets and basket sculptures, and we started planning new collaborative projects together right away. We are so excited now to present our Undersea Garden collaborative installation, created entirely from our work with reclaimed fishing gear. Undersea Garden includes 17 of my machine-stitched baskets and 18 of Shelby's hand-knotted basket sculptures. We're looking forward to finding new places for the installation to travel in the future to inspire new communities, and we wanted to share our conversation about how we see our work as a process of positive transformation.
One of the things that I love most about the materials that we work with are how life-giving they are. I think oftentimes it's thought of that because it's plastic, it's lifeless. And it can have a negative connotation attached to it, being out in the ocean and causing entanglement, entrapment, and ingestion. But the beauty of working with the materials shows us how organic this unfolding is and carries that energy with it of the ocean.
That was one of the most interesting and compelling things to me about when I started working with this was how organic it felt and how inspired I was by the material itself. the way it comes out of the ocean, it has so much history of the weathering it's seen at sea, in its life in service of fishermen, and since then, being washed up. And a lot of the times when you find it, it's tangled up in kelp.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a while to sort out, is this kelp, is this plastic rope, where does one end and the other begin? And it just speaks so much to the cycles of nature, even though you think of a plastic as not natural or not part of nature, but this material really feels like it is, and that we are able to bring it to a higher purpose.
Absolutely. It's really an honor to work with it, and that's one of the most amazing pieces of our collaborative relationship. The first time that we met, the first thing that we had said to each other was thank you. And that felt like such an honor, and working in this process has been so beautifully transformative, because we've gotten the experience of what it looks like to bring our baskets to life individually, with you and your unraveling, and with me and the hand nodding and just kind of allowing it to do its thing. And with the undersea garden, the magic that it holds together, and the emphasis that it brings on how much we can actually do with this resource, with this material.
Yeah, and how much it's amplified when we join forces. That's something that has become really important to me.
Yes.
What I can do when I open up and reach out to other people is just mind-blowing.
It's so expansive.
Yeah.
It's so expansive.
It was so much fun bringing our pieces together for the first time and just seeing how magical, as you said, they worked together, and I hadn't seen it until we did it, and then I was like, why didn't we do this before?
Why didn't we do this before?
I think that's something that we both share, is the joy-centered nature of our work. It's really a joy to work with.
There's so much surprise in the overall outcome. And I think that is such a powerful piece, a reflective piece as to the importance of flexibility within the self. Because the rope has a way about it that asks to go in one specific direction. And we're really a conduit, serving as a guide for this.
Something that's been really fun for me has been having that collaboration with this material in a stronger way than I've felt with any other material I've worked with.
Absolutely.
I love materials because of that collaborative aspect, that they have something to say for themselves, but I've never worked with a material that had this much to say for itself.
It really has a voice. I think that's one of the things that had initially called me to it, was that thought, how can I allow this to speak for itself? How can I create this in a way that will share its journey, share its vibration, and help educate in the process?
Thank you so much for allowing us to share the unveiling of our undersea garden and our work with you. Give it back to Kim now.
Oh, Emily and Shelby, so very, very beautiful. I'm thrilled that you have been able to educate us about these major issues around ghost nets and the larger questions of just plastic pollution in our oceans and how you turn it into beauty, like an amazing, amazing thing. Your work, I want everyone to understand that they were both supposed to be core presenters at our original symposium in April. And in addition, they received a big grant to have a month-long display at Portland Community College, Rock Creek. So it's such a shame that people didn't get to see their work. So I'm thrilled that we can actually highlight you, have you tell your stories, and again, show how you can transform plastic pollution and these ghost nets that are floating in our oceans into beautiful works of art. You're both so talented. I love your spirits. And if anyone gets a chance, I mean, eventually if you're in the Portland area and you can make it to the Oregon Zoo, I encourage you to see the Wash to Shore exhibit too. Angela Pozzi has worked so hard on trying to tell the story by taking plastic pieces that wash up on the beaches and turning them into large sculptures. So lots of great activists trying to educate about the health of our oceans through the power of art. So thank you, Shelby. And Emily, really appreciate your great presentation. Let's talk a little bit about this deeper question about how you use your art. You know, do you see it as a form of service or activism? Like, what part's political, or how do you stay neutral?
I'll start. I really liked what everybody really was saying, but David in specific got right out there with, we're not political. We serve the people who need the service the most. And I think that that's something that's been really important to me. Ever since I became a full-time artist, I keep thinking about how can I use my work in service of the people who need it most, not particularly to advance my personal agenda, but to reach people who are different and who think differently, and not necessarily to try to convince them that I'm right, but just to make that connection so that we can see each other and acknowledge each other on an equal footing. And that's sort of what I've been trying to get to in the installation and interactive work that I do, is to create a space that's where I'm not telling people what to do and there's no judgment or right or wrong. It's just, here's what we've got. So what are we going to do with it? What are you going to do with it that nobody else has thought of yet?
So I posted, so we can see the speakers, I posted the core questions over in the chat page. Amy, Emily, Shelby, do you guys have a thought on, like, what is the role of art in our changing world? Or, you know, obviously you're all very committed to sustainability in lots of different pathways.
Something that I've really noticed in the work that I do is that when I am utilizing my practice and my art by touching the earth, by helping preserve and protect the earth and helping heal the earth through my art, I notice so strongly that it's helping to heal me. Such a huge takeaway that informs my work.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I would definitely want to echo that as well, that so much of the work that both Shelby and I do, and it seems like Amy and David as well, it's our soul's calling. This is what we just get up in the morning really excited to go and do, regardless of the heaviness of the issues that we're working with and the things that we're seeing and struggling with. It's so exciting and invigorating personally to be able to give back in a way that also helps others. And I think that sharing that aspect of all of our practices, that we love what we do, is something that is so helpful to other people, rather than giving people a list of, here's 20 things you can do to be a better person, showing, here's how we figured out something that we want to do that we love. What can you do that you love that will sustain you in the future?
Oh man, all of you, I can see you clapping. And anybody on this whole here it's so funny to say performance. This was a Zoom performance. The creative arts, the performance arts, our hearts, our souls. There was one final question, and I hope that you're also reading the chat pages. You guys are getting tons of accolades. People adore what you're offering, so this is really important. I had a question on there about what's next.
I can share what's next for me. So as you said, Kim, I'm a recent alumni from PCC, proud alumni, so blessed. And I am going to be heading to Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, was recently accepted to them. And I'm very excited about starting the pursuit of my bachelor's there in interdisciplinary studies, which I will be focusing on eco-psychology. And in the meantime, I am going to be featured on Dr. Erica Riesenberg's podcast, All Things in the Name of Love, on June 5th, which also happens to be my birthday and World Environment Day.
What?
So if
Shelby,
you can tune
it's David's birthday too. You guys, your birthdays are on World Environment Day? Oh my God.
Thanks, Mom.
Oh, happy birthday. What an incredible bunch of Geminis on this call. All right, anyway. Emily.
What I've been focusing on lately is thinking about how I want to travel the GhostNet landscape exhibit, where I bring in the big quantities of fishing gear and then invite communities to collaborate. So I've done a couple of exhibits in the Portland, Oregon area. I would love to go back to Hawaii, where this all started for me, and do one there with just GhostNet. I'd love to travel further up and down the West Coast and also all around the world. So anybody who has ideas about where this should go next and what it should look like, it's an experience that I always co-create with the place and time and space that it is. So every exhibit will look different, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes next.
Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Wonderful.
Oh, and the project website for that is ghostnetart.com.
Thank you for everybody participating in the Q&As we were able to read from the chat page. Again, if you have more questions, we will have this recorded. We will do a follow-up with all of our participants, and anyone who is registered will send you the resources list. There's more in the resources list than you have just here, but here are their emails and their websites. You can check out their art on all of those sites, actually, or support them. Of course, this is a time we want to be supporting our talented folks around the world.
As much as we say we are in this together, we are not all proportionally together in this. So for those of us who can give through art, those of us who can receive through art, this has been a pleasure. And I want to say, just like the Sustainable Development Goals, which is very interconnected, art is that thread that connects us all to identify a bigger space beyond ourselves, and also identify that bigger space within ourselves. So thank you all for joining, and thank you all artists for doing the work you do and going across borders, and really to tell us that there are no borders. Thank you very much.
Oh, Nirja. I love you. You're so wise, and you always do capture these gorgeous final, like these, you can encapsulate the ideas often into poetry and then beauty of philosophy, and obviously your specialties within agroecology. And so thank you to our Executive Director of GPSEN, Nirja Havaligi, and recognizing that had our symposium actually been at PCC Cascade as planned, they've been very, very helpful. We have our media partners with KBOO and Green Living Journal, our United Nations Association partnerships, and we would have also had wine as a at our reception. So Seven Sails Vineyard, Christopher Bridge, check them out if you can. Thanks to everyone who's helped make our Sustainability Symposium series possible, including our Programs and Events Committee. If any of you feel called to support GPSEN's programs and events, again, the Greater Portland Sustainability Education Network, you can go to gypsen.org to help donate and support the work. So thank you for joining us. We will follow up with an evaluation form, all of our speakers' resources, and a recording of this wonderful session. I feel pretty good. I think everything went pretty well. I hope you guys do too. Please do check us out at gypsen.org. And remember that each and every person here who's on this call, every presenter, you're incredible educators. You've taught us how to empower ourselves and others, and some really fascinating ways to engage. So blessings to all of you. Phew, I know, right? Deep sigh.
I love all of you so much. So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
No utter
Kim.
joy. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna set people free.